Welcome to Awakening Airwaves, the Aligned and Whole podcast with Efun. Thank you for tuning in today. Today, I want us to talk about transitioning our students, especially our teenagers, from the school year into the summer activities. I think it's a very, very important topic for us to focus on because we're all under a lot of extra stress at this time. And it's important for us as adults to mirror what it is that we want to pass on to our young people about how we manage our stress in the world today. We also want them to know that we see them and that we understand the things that they're carrying. And it's important to remember how you felt as a teenager with all the different things that you dealt with at the time. Most of us can remember a lot of that time in our lives. And I think it's important because we don't want to forget how challenging the teen years can be. So whether you're talking about tweens or full-blown teenagers or young adults, I think we have to always be in a position of remembering who we once were and some of the things that challenged us. And even though the world is a very different place right now, we still have those transitions we make as human beings, and we have all the different emotional phases and stages to go through that are the same. And so basically what I'm saying is that a lot of it is the same so that you can relate. And you want to make sure that your young person knows that you do understand and that you're a resource to them and that they can come to you as needed. So we all know that getting our teens to buy into anything as an adult can be challenging. So we have to keep in mind how we want to approach that. We want to not necessarily be their friends. We're not trying to be friends. We're trying to be elders for them that they can know and trust and come to in times of need. But we can be friendly and be able to do that and give them the support. They need to know that we've got them. They need to know that we've got their back, not us trying to act like them and act like we're their peers. Okay, I think that's very important. And as an elder, I see that so much in younger people, and I've had it said to me many times where they appreciate having someone older who's got more life experience that they can come and talk to, that they can recognize the some of the gems that we might have to share with them from our perspective. So it's important to be real and not lie to them. It's important to be real and not try to act like we know everything. It's important to be real and share some of our true life experiences with them from a very honest perspective without going overboard and traumatizing them with certain things. We have to be age appropriate with them, but at the same time, let them know that we will always be honest. And so if we can do that, we will be able to be a real resource to them. And a benefit is that they'll be a great resource to us as well. Because I know from my son, from my grandson, and younger people in my life, I count on them to teach me how the world works now. Some of the jargon and other things that are going on, I don't relate to those things. So I have to have them help me understand and to communicate those things, just like I can help them understand some aspects of life that they haven't experienced yet. So being aligned and whole is about knowing who you are, being grounded in your own truth and who you are and who you would like to be for the younger people in your life, and having this mutual connection, intergenerational connection with other people so that we all can have a better life and a better experience. So one of the things about dealing with teenagers, whether you're a parent, guardian, coach, teacher, mentor, is to know that they are looking to us for leadership. So to keep from meeting with that epic eye roll or a flat no all the time, pay attention, observe who your person is, and give honor and respect to who they are, just like you were looking for that when you were at that age. So the reason I chose to talk about this coming summer break, regardless of whether your student is off for the summer from school in the old way of doing things, or whether they're in a year-round program that has periodic breaks, the issues are the same. You want to help them to know that you really need to have a break. I really need to have a shift to decompress and to be able to let go and shift things so it's not, life doesn't become humdrum and the same thing over and over again with no shift, no downtime, and having the ability to not be structured for every single minute of their day. As adults who have jobs, whether we're entrepreneurs or we work for someone else, it's the same all the time, that pressure. But for our young people, it doesn't have to be that drastic, and it's going to be healthier for them if we can help them make those shifts. I think sometimes we overprogram our kids, and we have to keep in mind that how much pressure we put on them. We have to look for the signs. We have to do our research to understand what they're doing, how they're doing it, and not to always have them performing to please us or other people so that they get into unhealthy mental health situations as young people that will lead into unhealthy mental health situations when they become adults. So this transition from school to summer break or school to whatever, many of our students go straight from school to camps for a lot of different reasons. But the difference is most of the camps, depending on what kind of camp it is going to give them a total shift in schedule. So even though they may be busy all day, and some of the camps, especially if they're in sports camps or dance camps or things where they're encouraged to perform, we want to make sure that when they're not doing that, they have some true downtime. Even if they're high achievers, they need to understand the importance of having some true downtime. So these are a few things that I've learned as having been a teacher for many years and being a mother and a grandmother and just getting to know myself. It's important to have downtime breaks. Excuse me. So connecting with nature is one of the easiest things to do. So many of our students spend their time indoors all the time on their devices for whatever reasons. So getting outside, especially during the spring and summer when the weather is nice, is very important. They can sit outside on the porch patio, go to the park or something and do their homework assignments or practice whatever it is they're practicing. But getting outside in nature and just being able to enjoy nature, to feel the air, to smell the air, to look at the different colors of the foliage in the area, to look at the animals and to look at the insects and things of that nature is very healing to us as human beings, and it's very grounding and comforting to make those connections. And if we're always busy with earplugs on, earphones on, or looking at our phone or talking on the phone, we don't get the benefit of noticing how important it is for us to connect with nature, because we are a part of nature. So one of the things that could be helpful is to recommend, suggest, or to do as a family activity is to spend time outdoors. If it's not something you normally have done, make it short spurts of time and approach it with your team that we'll start off maybe with just 5 minutes and talk about it from the perspective of what you hope to get from spending time in nature and what you've learned about spending time in nature. If you have a teen that is resistant to the idea, they don't like being outdoors or whatever, they're all used to doing research. Give them assignment to look up the importance of human beings connecting with nature. Because if they need proof, and not take it just from you, give them that assignment to go and look up the benefits of putting their feet on the earth, the flat earth, or what it would feel like if they smelled a flower, or if they would touch the tree and things of that nature. Let them do the research and find out, and then begin to do those activities. Again, starting off with small spurts of time. You make an agreement that this is what we're going to do together because I need it, and I'm inviting you to participate in this with me. Give them an out that we're going to start off with 5 minutes a day. And I guarantee you they're going to feel the shift. So one of the keys about that I've learned about working with kids is you're not going to be pressuring them all the time. You're not going to be talking in their face all the time. Spend time in silence, spend time listening to what they may have to say and allow them to approach it the way they want to. Don't be so over instructive that they can't relax and just figure out how they want to interact with nature. And so we know that grounding is very important, that the earth's energy, the chi of the earth, is purposely healing for us as human beings. And so it can help us to calm our overactive nervous system. It helps reduce anxiety and stress and helps us build a sense of stability and selfhood. And so, as a parent and a caregiver, your approach for how you want to experience and what you have learned can be beneficial in a non-preachy dictatorial manner is going to be very important. And then don't question them, well, how did you like it? Or how did you feel? No, just experience. We don't need to talk about it. If they want to talk about it, great. You don't even need to talk about it. Just leave it. Sometimes quiet silence is the best thing. Make it a shared, low pressure thing that you're going to do and leave it at that. You could also explain as a very quick explanation, not a 30-minute lecture about why you think the family needs to do this. So start there and see how that works. That is the easiest place to start. If you have someone who is struggling with allergies or something like that, and being outside is not as comfortable for them at certain times of day, at certain times of year, take all of that in consideration and then find your workaround with that. Maybe instead of being fully outdoors at a particular time of year, especially since everything is blooming now, maybe you just sit by the window for a short period of time and look out the window with it not even being open, and then gradually work up to that. So you have to keep in mind all the different things that are going to impact the experience so that it can be pleasurable and also so that it can be beneficial. And so the best way to talk about that would be in the planning of when you're going to start. And it doesn't have to start the day you talk about it. It can be the next day or the next week. But again, if you have one of those kids that you can't just spring stuff on them, my son was like that. I had to always prepare him for what we're going to do, as opposed to run in the room, hey, let's go outside. And he was not that kind of person. So I would often have to say, hey, today, this afternoon, let's go do so-and-so, or I planned for us to have such and such an experience. And then he was much more ready because that was what he needed for his personality, for his nervous system. So again, connect with who you know your person to be and think about who you have been and who you are and what you want as a thing of respect from other people. And so, the other activity that I would suggest, as you know, I'm a Reiki teacher healer, and just do general Reiki energy healing perspective, is to use the Reiki precepts, the Gokai, and there are 5 of them. And so say, for instance, you're going to go on a nature walk to connect with nature, and this can help release heavy internal dialogue regarding the future, letting go of peer dynamics, the whole issue that teens deal with their own self-image. You can dress however you want to go walk in nature. Go to a place where it's a lot of privacy if that's who they are. You don't have to go to the park where you're going to run into everybody from the neighborhood or from the school. Pick something that is going to work for you and for them, and let them have a part in it if they want to have a part of it. So it doesn't have to be a high pressure thing. And so these precepts, so for instance, maybe you talk about how nature doesn't stress. Nature just is, yet everything is beautiful and works in sync. And so let's take a walk and try to find examples of how nature stays completely present and at peace all the time. And this doesn't have to be a conversational walk. It can just be a walk in silence. However, I recommend that you set some ground rules before the walk No headphones. You don't need to be listening or talking to your best friend while you're walking. Just connect with nature. You don't have to even talk to each other. Just connect with nature. And because you're together, you're already connected. And so you can use some examples of, maybe they can say, okay, well, today we'll just start off with a short walk, maybe somewhere close to the house so you're not driving so far and that kind of thing, to get them used to the idea. And if it's very low key, you're going to find that they're going to be potentially look forward to spending that time. If you find some place where you can just walk in your neighborhood, that's even better. The short walks, and then build up to going to a park if you have to go a distance to do that. So one way to approach that is that you can pick one of the precepts, maybe one for just for today, I will not anger. And it can be that you use the same precept for everybody who's going on the walk, or each person picks one. There's 5 of them. Or you can make up your own mantra statement or that you're going to use on this nature walk. And so you're going to pick that and you're going to head out on the walk. And as you go, you're going to use that as your perspective to connect with what's going on in nature. Maybe you say, I chose do not anchor because today at work or at school, I was so upset at such and such a situation, and I'm going to release that energy from myself, And so you're teaching them how you can be mindful with your downtime. And it can be beneficial because you're being mindful and conscious of what it is that you're accomplishing. I want to let that energy go while I'm on this walk in nature and feel better when I come back. And you can invite them to do the same. A couple of months ago, I did a talk on journaling. And so it could be something you go on the nature walk, and then when you come back, each person can journal a few lines. If family is not into journaling, you can share something by choice that you connected with. Maybe you just realized that before you went, you felt a certain tension, but when you came back, you felt better. So there's no limit to the types of things you can help connect yourself to and connect your teen to on the walk. Another thing would be if you have a larger family or your teen is always having friends over, that this time in nature, you can decide as a family whether the friends are invited to go on the nature walk, or if it's just for the family members, or however you want to structure it, or you do it different ways at different times. That's entirely up to you and your family. The most important part is to listen to yourself and listen to your team. Another activity that you can use is something that helps connect us to our solar plexus, and which is the seat of our identity and our personal power and our personal esteem. Is then when we feel heavy and when we have a lot of stress during the teen years, using physical sun as an activator is very, very powerful, because it helps to build this warm sensation within yourself, and that helps foster independence. And during this time, we can always let go of some of the things that we feel pressured by during our work at school, whether it's through our sports activities or other performance activities. It's very helpful. So you can introduce the sun as a pure energy and light, and you can sit in the warmth of the sun to activate the energy of the space around you and the space within you. And this sensation can help release self-stress, release worry, help us to feel more energized and away from whatever stresses us. We can let some of that go. It's like fueling your inner strength and fueling your confidence. It also stimulates our internal battery. So you can talk to them about it from that perspective as well. And after maybe you converse about that for a little bit, then you can bring more confidence about what the sun energy can do for us as human beings on a broader perspective, so that you're expanding your understanding of what the energies and natures do for us as human beings. It can be very educational, but on a personal level, not necessarily being some heavy study or research project or something like that. We also know that our teens carry residual emotional weight, and sometimes they're just exhausted. A lot of times they have sleep challenges. Maybe their rhythms are off because of sports or their other extracurricular activities, or just from the stress of studying. And so they need to purify their energy. And so another universal natural healing element is water. And so going to a body of water and just walking along the lake, if walking along the beach, and even getting into the water, even if it's just with your feet, and of course submersion is powerful and beautiful. And so it can make it easier for them to consciously, release energy from their bodies, from their mind, from their spirit, to be engaged with water. So natural bodies of water, of course, are the best. But if you happen to have a pool or have access to a pool, start there if they are not into going out into the natural water. But you can be something that you can work up to. And so water is an incredible for moving things along, releasing. And so you can have a way of where you go into the water, you think of what you want to release before you go into the water, and visualize and talk to them about how you get into the water. And I just feel things just washing off of me, and release it into the water, and it's transmuted there. And you feel refreshed and renewed when you get out. If you don't have access to water, or if it's a challenge for you to get to water, if you have a bathtub, and that's one of the things that's so beautiful about water, we all have access to water in one way or the other. If you don't have a bathtub, that's standing under the shower and just let it wash off of you. Everybody loves doing that. So be real creative and get their input too, in terms of how we can use water to wash our dramas away. And especially during this time of year, because a lot of kids are either doing their final exams, or their final exams are coming up. And so they may be extra stressed. So every day, when they get home, they can maybe wash that energy off of them. Give them a picture in their mind to visualize how this kind of activity can be helpful to them, just visualizing in the water. So taking maybe a weekly trip to a natural body of water, and do whatever you can there, teach them how to skip stones on the water, or just find a stick and just sit and watch the water and see how water moves, and how it's so malleable around the logs and the stones and other things, and how the waves just come in and out, and even breathing with the waves is so powerful. And so these are just some things that you may have tried in your life. If you haven't tried them, bring your kids along and expose them to those kind of things. So finding ways to connect with nature is going to be very, very easy and simple to do. And even if you live in a congested area where there's nothing but high-rise buildings and things like that, you can find some natural place. There are usually parks around close by where you can go to, or if you have a patio, maybe you get some plants that you're going to commit to taking care of during the summer. And so you can use what you have to find a way to make those shifts out of the humdrum. And I am a firm believer that even though life with kids today is so different, especially from when I grew up, is that we used to spend most of our time outdoors running and playing and doing all kinds of things. It's still so incredibly healthy to spend time outdoors, because we are a part of nature. And so try to think of ways that you can incorporate some of that with your student. And even though I've heard it many times, oh, I was outside all day, we had ball practice or whatever, that's not the same thing as spending time in nature just for the sake of being in nature. So whether you're chasing behind a soccer ball or playing baseball or whatever, it's not the same as riding a bike for freedom and letting the breeze blow through your aura. It's not the same as walking along a pond. It's not the same of just looking at the trees. We have to teach sometimes our kids how to connect in nature, and keep in mind that it may be in increments that we do that, because it's so important to who we are as human beings, and also because it's important to the world for us to connect with the world. And one of the challenges that we have is this whole issue of global warming. And a lot of that is because for the past few generations, we're so disconnected from nature. So even though this conversation was mainly about the importance of helping our students make that break from a highly structured school environment to summertime and releasing some of that stress and that tension, it really is about recognizing that we are part of nature and the importance of reconnecting with nature in different, unique, and important ways. And so I hope that some of this has been something that is inspiring you to look at things for your students a little bit differently, but also for yourself and for your family as a whole, to return to nature for all the reasons that I mentioned and many, many more reasons that are so important. And you will reap the benefits of that in a very short period of time if you will just try one or two things. One of the things that I also wanted to bring up today is how we have a responsibility as adults, as elders, to connect to nature for ourselves and to help connect our young people to nature for all the reasons that have already been mentioned, but most importantly, for their mental health, for their spiritual health, for their emotional health. And it's very important as a community to make sure that we're connecting in those ways. So, for instance, if you don't have at this time any things that you do collectively as a family or with friends or extended family that you do in nature, even if it's just to go for a walk occasionally, those are some of the things that you might want to consider incorporating for your whole family as a collective. That can be very healing to help you stay aligned, stay whole, and reap the benefits of an aligned and whole life. And just being in the fresh air alone is going to make such a big difference for you. I hope that you will be able to connect with your young people. So whether you're a parent, a grandparent, auntie, uncle, keep in mind the benefits that you will reap from reaching out to them and allowing them to reach out to you and have those exchanges. And also, one of my soapboxes is it doesn't matter how you function, whether you're on autism spectrum, you have ADHD, we all have something that is uniquely us that we bring to the world, and to share those things and allow them not to limit how we interact with the world. So, aligned and whole is how we want to grow. So please follow those things. And I would love to hear from you about any questions you have or any experiences. So you can find how to reach me in the notes for this episode. And I look forward to sharing more things with you, how we can move forward and become aligned and whole and reconnect to nature and reconnect to ourselves. Thank you for listening, and check me out at efunlayo.com for Reiki classes, for Reiki mentoring, for African spirituality classes and information, and for working with children who have unique and beautiful needs that we can meet together as the adults in their lives. Thank you.